So let's get started with the code. Let's keep it quiet. So I have this one open. Just gonna go. Is that you guys see, or should I turn off the lights? So is that back of the class? Okay, wait a minute. So this is week 8, 9, 9. Yeah, I have exam next week, right? All right, that works. Thank you. All right, so let's open it with a new window. Okay, so my project is already built, ready to go. Just gonna go. Okay, so where is my file? I'm gonna close that one. Oops. There we go. Week 9. All right, guys, keep it quiet, please. Hello. Try to. Here we go. So this is my main. I'm gonna start. Can you guys see at the back of the class? Shaw, can you see? Can you see that? No? You don't care? Alright. It's fine. Alright, so today we're gonna talk about arrays. So what we said is arrays allows you to store a group of item of this. Oh, I'm doing multiple lines, so it's better to just do triple line here. All right, so cut, paste items of the same data type together, right? So that's the array. Funny enough, in Python, doesn't matter that they would be the same data type, but since the definition of array is the group of the variable that they have the same data type, they name it the list. So in Python, there is no arrays. They call it lists. So that's what, keep in mind. Most of the things are the same. All of them the same. The difference between list and the array is the array has to be the same data type. List doesn't need to. But since we're learning arrays, I'm trying to keep it in array format as we go. But it's pretty much the same concept, so don't worry about it. Let's say we can put it this way: array is traditional. Traditional, and lists are modern, if you like to write it that way. Or most of the script languages use lists, so because they don't need to declare things and make it easy. So let's try a simple array or list. So I'm gonna use both names, doesn't matter really. So let's have an even number as a list. Note in Python you don't need to declare, you just go for it, right? In the other languages you have to declare first, and like Java you have to declare it first, but this one you don't need to. I am creating a list like that with bunch of so they would be, this is a list or array with 7 members, right? So there's 7 numbers in there that I'm defining. So this is could be all, and also they're all integer. One of the questions is, what if I need to declare the array, right? Some of the situation you have to declare first. If you need to declare an empty array, just basically do the same thing, but just put zeros. So by default, so if you want to empty array with, let's say, 7 members or 7 location, that you can fill in later. You can put a bunch of zeros, then you put numbers in it. But we're gonna circle back to this later. So let's say I have a list like that, and let's have I have another name list called names. And this is my name, and we're gonna put a bunch of oh, I'm searching. All right, so we have one with the names, one with the even numbers. So these are lists or arrays. Instead of having like 5 names, name 1, 2, 3, 4, I just write names and just throw them in the list. So the question is, how do I print those? Or access those? In Python, life is really easy. If you want to print the list, just go print. And you go even numbers. So in that case, when I'm printing, let's just run it. You'll see the list right there. All the members are there. This is not happening in many languages. This is a really, really easy way of printing things. In many languages, if you do that, it gives you the memory address of the list in your computer. So that this list stored in that memory location. That's what it does. So it never prints it like that. Python is really simple when it gets to this, because nobody cares about the memory address in Python. But the question is, what if I just want to print 2 as I speak? So in that case, I have to use the index number to print specific number from, or member, let's say, from a specific array. Okay, how do I do that? As I mentioned before, if I want to see that, so the index, it's all right, so that's a trick. Index, or as you may know, subscript, is basically equals to the size or cell size or minus 1. So what is a size? Basically, size is a cell number. So if you go there, so this is the cell 1, cell 2, 3, 4. If I want that, we're going to start with 0. So if I want to print the first number, I am going to call my list, then I open this brackets and put 0 here. So that will print the first cell context or contents. So let's try it, and you should see 2. Here we go. So if you, let's just make it more interesting. So if you do that, nah, I don't want to do it now. Leave it like that. So how about the second, let me just get rid of this, that you have more room to do this. I don't want to, here we go. So for the second one, you're going to just go so in that case, I'm going to see 4. I'm actually going to cheat a law. That's the law of typing for no reason. Save a little bit of time here. So I'm gonna go that, Control V, Control V. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all right, so my even number has 7 members, and your index goes all the way to 6, right? You have 7 members or 7 cells. That would the maximum size of the index would be size minus 1. So the 6 is the last one. So if I run this right now, what will happen is, here we go. You see all of them one by one? Print it. So what's going to happen if I put print the even numbers and index 7? So it doesn't give me the error at the moment because there is no typo or syntax problem here. But if you run it, you see it gives you this error, which is called an out of range. So this is the most common problem you might face. Your size, you think this is 7, I have 7 members or 7 numbers or 7 strings in that array, but I call it, it doesn't give it to me, especially when you use it in loop. So you're going to be careful with this. So this is what we call is out of. So I'm going to comment that. Let me just minimize this a little. So what we call out of range. Since the index or subscript, whatever you like to call it, is not exist. All right, so since the index 7 is not exist, even though the size of even number is 7. So that's a little bit confusing in a sense. Since the size and the index relation is size, the index is equals to size minus 1. You'll get a hold of it if you don't get what's going on. All right, so let's we got the idea. I can do the same thing with the names. All right. So now the question is, let's make things interesting. I have this even numbers array, and there's a bunch of number in them. Let's just write it another one. Let's call another array numbers and put bunch of numbers in them. So I'm gonna go 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Or let's make it interesting for you. Let's say tests, and those are your test marks. So let's say we have 100, 75, 80, 50, and 60. So let's say I have an array called that marks, and let's say this course has 5 exams, and those are your 5s you got. So we want to find the average of these marks. So the question is, how do I do that? I know how to access one by one, and I know I need to get the sum of them first. Then I'm gonna divide it by the number of tests to get the average. I know that much. But how do I get the information out of this? So first of all, we need to go through this list. How do I do that? I'm gonna use a loop. So first thing before go further, using the loop, which we learned before, especially for loop, is your solution to go through the list. Every time you want to go through the list, you need a loop. And the for loop is the key because you know how many times you're going to go. Alright, so we're going to start with a loop, basic loop, and I am going to teach you how to use the loop to go through the list. So this is my index, and I'm going to go range, and what should I put there? You don't need to mention 0, by the way. I see some of you put zeros, but in range, by default, start from 0. That's the whole point of the range. And you know why now, because index start from 0. So this is designed to go through the array for you. So we have the 0, or you want to put 0. You don't need to do it if you by default. What should I put there? If I want to go through that, where do you get the 7 from? You got the idea. I'm gonna put 5 because it goes up to 5. It goes up. Remember that? So what I need to put here is basically I need to put the size of my array, which is for the test is there's 5, right? What is the size? 5. And now, if you recall when we did the 4, we said when you put 5, it doesn't cover 5, it goes up to 5. So if I do that in range, it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are the numbers I need for my index to go and call and print them. So now it makes sense why this weirdly range starts from 0 and goes up to that number, for that matter. They're kind of correlated. So let's see, in that case, I simply can go tests. So we're going to print an index. So guess what? You're going to go to the test every time. Index would be 0 initially, then going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. So basically, you're going to do the same thing I did here for another even number, another array here, and just going to keep going. So in that case, I'm going to see those marks as we go. Let's make it more interesting, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go So what I'm doing here is I'm going to tell you what am I printing. So the index increment, and you see the value next to it. So really neat and simple. Let's see what's happening. There we go. So this is my test right there with the corresponding index. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 is 100, 1 is 75. 80 for the index 2, 50, and 60. So what's my loop works is like that. Okay. So instead of writing manually, you're gonna get a hold of the loops and use the loops to do it for you. So go one by one, increment the index, and go through that list for you. Sometimes you need to find things. Sometimes you need to print one by one. Sometimes in this case, I need to go through one by one and add them together to have the sum. Then I can divide it by the number of elements. So one other thing is, this is an important thing. What if later on I realize, oh, there is one extra test. Let's say there's another test you got 78 on. If I add that to my list and I run it, I don't see it at all. So it goes up to here, right? But this guy is 5. And the size of your list or array right now is 6. So I'm going to go change that, right? So in that case, I have the last member. But that's not working though, right? Because every time I change something, I'm going to go somewhere else in my code and change it, and that's really hard to do when you have a lots of line of code. So what I'm gonna do, there is a this is an important part. Some people get confused. In order you can get the size of your array using you can find the size of your array in most of programming languages using a function called length. So in your pseudocode, in your flowcharts, that's what it is. 95% of the languages using that. C++, Java, C#, whatever. But in Python, we use len because everything has to be simpler. This is one of the problem people face in the exam. In the exam, I'm going to use the function length because that's a universal name of it, but here is len. Alright, so in order to put 6 or 7 or anything like that, I can simply go and say, okay, len, right there. This is a built-in function, and test. So in that case, we get the length of test, which is in this case is 6. So let me run that. So length of tests gives you the length of test. That's what it is. So in that case, when I'm running it, here we go. It generates the exact same thing. But the good part is, if I later on go and say, oh, I have another exam now, and that one is ADH, and I'll run it, it automatically gonna get the size of that array, which is right now is 7, and go from 0 to 6. So in that case, on the next line, you're gonna see the next exam, which is 88, right there. So the length, it gets the length even it changes later. So you always get the length updated. Okay. All right. So now I want to get the sum and the average of those tests. I have a loop that it actually goes through it and print it. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to declare something called a sum. And every time I go there, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to go sum equals to sum plus tests so what it is I'll go one by one and add that to my variable sum. Okay? So first time I'll go through this. You get the sum is 0, you get 100. Then sum become 100. Then the next time we get the number 75. The sum is already 100. You add 75 to the 100. Now the sum is 175. Next one would be 80. Add 80 to that, and so on and so forth. So when you're done with your loop, you're simply gonna go here and print the sum of array, let's say so let's see if it actually works or not. Alright, so the sum of those should be 531. Seems about right. If you're in the mood, grab a calculator and type it in. I'll I'm gonna trust my program here. Well, I'm lazy. So how do I get the average now? So I have the sum. How do I get the average? How do you usually get the average? Sum divided by what? So that's your sum. Okay. Divided by what? So who said that? Yeah. So we're gonna get the length of the array here. So what is it here? So divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the length. And I have a function just to do that for me. So I'm gonna go len test. Oh, not that. Perfect. So in that case, you're gonna get the all right. So the average is 75 with all those crap. I know how to fix that now, right? Yeah, we're gonna format it. Sure. So we're gonna go here, format this guy, comma, point 2f. Here we go. So 2 decimal number, really clean and neat, ready to go. Sometimes, so for loop is really easy. However, sometimes you need to do this manually. So sometimes, for some odd reason, you need to check a condition when you're going through the loop. So let's say you want to find a number, or there's a condition to check using the loop. It's not always go through the loop and adding them up. Sometimes you go through them, but you get that number, check the condition, and such. So sometimes you need to use while loop to go through the list or array. So in that case, so sometimes you need to use while loop to go through a list, or basically your array, whatever fancy name you want to call it. All right. So let's make it with a simpler one. Let's have another list. Let's call it my list, and I have like a bunch of number in them. So I'm gonna put 10, 20, 30, and 40. And I need to use, I can use my for loop, easy. I'm gonna go for index in range of length of my list, print my list bracket index. I can really simply do that, but I'm gonna challenge myself doing this in while. So how do I do this? So we're gonna do while. So first we're gonna declare an index. I smell popcorn. Yeah, is that popcorn day at school? No? You guys should know better. So we're gonna go through that manually. So we're gonna need the index, and we have to increment that index. It works exactly like a counter, but it's an index now. So go one by one. Maybe I should do this and give you a break and go grab a popcorn. It's running out, huh? So we're gonna do this. We're gonna say while the index is less than what? So anyone can guess? Length of my list is the exact same concept. You're doing it manually, basically. Do what? Print and then you increment the index, right? So you're gonna go index, which is basically this one is index equals to index plus 1, right? We know that, or I do. Maybe you don't. So this is a lot of things gonna be more efficient. That's one of the way writing it. So plus equal is index equal index plus 1. So if you didn't get that, if I want to change that, if you have this, I can do this like that. So I'm going to go sum plus equal test index. So instead of writing that. Okay, so in that case, you're going to run it. And you see all the numbers. 10, 20, 30, and 40, right? So this is using while loop for going through your list. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do one more and then we take the break. Now let's say go through a list and find a number. Let's say I have a bunch of marks. So what I'm gonna have marks. Oh no, here we go. And let's say 56, 45, 78, 70, I don't know, just random marks. And I want to write the program that asks user what mark you want to find and go through this, search it up, and give me the location. So the idea is, first we're gonna call lookup marks. So we're gonna ask user integer input, right? Nothing new here. Enter the mark you like to find. So we get that. And then we're gonna go through that marks to find it. Let's say user put 70. I want to go through this list one by one, compare, and when I find 70, I send back the index of that location. Simple enough. So before I go any further, you guys gonna realize this. If you want to do this, you're gonna have a loop. There's two conditions for you to stop going through the list. One is you finding the mark, right? So you're going through this, you're comparing one by one, you find the mark, you're done, you leave it. Second is you don't find the mark. So there's two situations: finding the marks, not finding the marks. So we have to know that. So for that, I need to create something called a flag, which is we did last time, I guess, that tells me if the program finds the mark. So first what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna declare or create a boolean, or declare is a better word for it, to act as a flag. So flag is a common terminology, means when you find something or something happens, you need to know. A boolean, basically the false becomes true or 0 becomes 1. So it's kind of flag up. This comes from the hardware because they have this square wave shape, so it's just gonna go. But don't worry about it. As far as you know, you define the boolean, we call it find, and we set it to false because we're assuming we haven't find your number yet, right? Initially, you don't know where it is. So now we're gonna do this. We're gonna say while. That's why we need the while loop for this. So this is different. We're finding something. There's two conditions. I leave the loop. Okay? Are you punching the monitor? It's not that bad. Alright, so we're gonna say while your flag is false, means while you haven't find your number and you haven't hit the end of the list yet. So your index is less than the length of the marks. We just did the while loop, so you should understand this easy. So we had this before here, right? So we go through this. This goes all the way to the end. I say also, if you find it, you go through doing this while you're not finding it. If you find it, you stop doing your loop. As you know, when you have AND, both of these conditions has to be true. So as far as you're not at the end of your list and you haven't found your number, keep doing this. That's what I'm saying here. And every time you go through this, so you're going to go check that the marks index. Did I declare the index? No, I haven't. So before I go through, this is yes. We need the index too, right? So we're doing this manually. Index start from the 0 for obvious reasons. So then we check one by one that number in that specific location is the same as the number the user gave me. If it is, we change the flag to found to true. So here we tell the loop we found it. So stop, which is next time it goes up here, the found is not false anymore, so stop doing the loop. Otherwise, if you haven't found it, what you do, you increment your index. Means that number I'm checking on the first cell is not the same, then otherwise if it's not the same, go to the next cell, do the checking. If it's not the same, go to the next cell, do the checking, and so on and so forth. So that's what it is. This is an alternative dual decision. Means either you find it or you increment. No? You have no idea what I'm saying? Yeah, you're going to practice. It takes time. You seems puzzled. Alright, so now when I'm done with the loop, I'm going to say if found is equals to that, and the print oh, that's a fun part, right? Look at this. We have a list. Let's say these are tests. So test number 1, test number 2, test number 3, test number 5, 6, 7, 8, it goes so on and so on. Let's say the user looking for mark 86, so that's the score they got, and they want to find what test they got that score. So here when I'm doing the search, I'm finding the index. So go increment the index. So we incremented the index if we don't find it. When we find it, we don't increment the index. So we have that index. So now I want to show the user you earn that mark on your test number. What do? You just gonna go index +1. Why? Because index and size is 1 behind. So you never start from test 0. You say test 1. But the index of test 1 is 0. So when you have an index, in order to show it as a test number, you have to increment it. Since you guys learning this, if you haven't learned anything, you eventually will with a lot of practice. But one of the things to remember, when you're printing the index like that, and you're changing it an increment or adding 1 to it, please turn this to a string or something. Do not mess with the index. Anytime you want to add to show a cell number or the location or whatever it is, do not add it as a number, because that mess sometimes in a loop. I'm not in a loop right now, but if you're in the loop, you need to print that every single line. if you add 1 to the index as a cell number, it messes your loop up. So do not do that. When you do that, just change that to the string to make sure. Let's take that to the next line to make sure. All right, that's a string, right? So I'm just gonna use add, and that's it. So make sure you make it a string that doesn't affect your index value. In this case, doesn't matter really, but if you're in the loop, you increment the index to show that it will jump 1 cell because the index and the cell number are 1 off, right? Well, you get a hold of it. So if you find it, you're gonna say you earned that. Otherwise, there's a possibility that we say the mark Alright, so let's test this and take a break. Alright. Alright, let's see what we need to find here. Let's go with the 86, right? So 86 is test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Test number 8, right? So let's go 8. Oh, no, sorry. The mark 8 is not fine. It's the other way around. I'm just looking for 86. If I do 86, it should give me, here we go. So you earn 86 on test number 8. Another one. Let's go 56. Right? Okay, so let's take a break. Come back at 3:30. Good? Let's get back to this. So we're going to cover 2 concepts. And then we wrap this up. So we're going to deal with functions, modules, and lists. So how we manipulate our list or array using function. So let's say we're going to write the function that get a list or array, and basically what it does, it just reset or set that array to 0. What I mean by that is this. So let's say I have, let's call it R, and let's say I have this guy here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just wanna, whenever I need to, make this all 0. So the idea is I have I'm gonna define a set to 0. I can use for, I can use while loop. I learned both of them. Let's do while because some of you find it a little bit challenging than the for loop. So we're going to do that. So the function len, it actually become handy now. We don't know. So I'm writing the function or module, and I don't know how big it is. So that, let's say I have these 2, and I gotta go array 2, and these 2 has different size. So something random like that. So every time I want to send a list or an array into this set to 0 function, I want to set all the members or all the cells to 0. So that's the idea here. And what I'm doing is, what am I doing? Alright, so here we go. So every time I have an input array, and I just go get that and go through it one by one, and every time I go to the cell based on the index, I'll set that to 0, and then I increment my index. So here is your implementation. So this is a module I wrote, and every time I need to use it, I simply gonna so here when I'm done, I just gonna alright, I'm going to send my, so I'm gonna call my set to 0 and send my array to it and run it and see what happens. This is the old one, so I get rid of it. So I'm not printing anything. So before I'm doing this, I'm gonna print error. So this is what I have, and after that I'm gonna print. Here we go. So what's happening here is this. So I have this 1, 2, 3, 4 as an array here, and here I'm printing it first. Then I'm sending that to my function. So what it is where is it? There we go. So I'm sending it up there, and here when I get it, I have an index and a while loop. Yeah. All right, back to this. Here we go. So I'm printing the array, then I send it to the module. Here I go one by one and set it to 0. When I'm printing after that modular function, all of them, all the members become, come on, 0. I can do the same thing with the second array, so the size doesn't. Could you close that door, please? This guy is something. Yeah, maybe I should keep him for the next semester. It's fun. All right, so let's print the second array, which is the bigger one, and also the good part of this function is whatever you send that. Whatever list you send it to this function, it's just gonna set it to 0. So we're simply gonna do the same thing, and you will see that we set the second one also all to 0. So the good part of this using the length function is you don't really need to know the size. So every time whatever you get as an input to that module, you're just gonna set everything to 0. So this is in order to understand this better, we can do the thing we did manually using modules. So we can have a module called get total, and this one it get a list, and what it does basically, we have a sum. We're gonna go for index in range of, guys, keep it quiet please. All right, so in this case we have the get total. What it is, you just get, we did the same thing up here if you recall. We had this code here. The first thing we did, we get the sum, then we get the average, but that was specific to this array up here. If I have a new array, I have to do it again. So I want to have a function that I have a list here. Any list I have, we just call in this and get me the total numbers or total or sum of the numbers in that list. So whatever it is we're gonna go length of the input list. And in that case, you start from 0, go. I'm using 4 in this case. Previously, I used y. So you should get a hold of both, just in case you need one over another. And what you do, you're just going to go sum equals or plus equals to the list index. And we're going to return the sum. So whenever you call it, you send the list to this function, you get the sum, and you return the value. Simple. We learned that before. So you see, it adds up. If you didn't learn the previous lessons, it's get harder. If you did, you learn more and more. That's the idea. I'm going to master each topic as we go. Let's do the... So in that case, if I have a list, let's make my list 2, let's say, because I have one up there. And this list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can simply print the list first. Then we're gonna say print the sum is simply, I'm just gonna call my module directly. I don't need to save it or anything. So I'm gonna say get total, and we send my list to it. So this module go up here, do the sum, return the value, and also we're gonna go print the average is, guess what? So it's the same thing I did, but now it's universal. Every time I need to get the array has to be all numbers, obviously. If you have string, you can't really get the sum of names, right? Get total my list divided by length, right? Exactly. If you recall, I used to just said, okay, sum equals to that, and then get the sum divided by number. Start eliminating the unnecessary variables. So instead of doing this, I just want to print it. So what's the point of saying, okay, sum equals to that? I used to do that, but now we're getting better. We have more understanding. I don't really need to define a variable for no reason. That sum is pointless. You can put the whole thing inside that print. But I'm just going to do both. Doesn't matter. Something like that. Both are the same, but we throw a variable that we don't really need to, and that generates some garbage and basic memory, which is we don't want to. What else we need? Pretty much. Let's try that. There we go. So the sum of these are 15s, and the average is 0. Let's say I'm done with this. I want to reset an empty of my list too and fill it with a bunch of other numbers. I am going to go my list. I'm going to send that to set to 0. And in that case, if I print my list 2 again, your list 2 will be all zeros. Here. So it's all done. You just want to add them up, get the average, and then reset it. So this module, what it does, you just get that. Here we go. It's up here. You just get that array, go one by one, and set each member to 0. So put 0 instead of override 0 over whatever is there. So you have an empty list if you need it. Later on, you can go, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. So this is pretty much it for 2D. Let's introduce 3D. No, sorry, 2D. This is like single line. So we're going to do 2D. I think for undergrad, stick to 2D. If you want to know what 3D is, I'll just tell you. Then if you don't understand it, that's fine, but get the idea. If you understand 2D, you'll be fine with 3D. So let's try the array list. So we're going to say my first 2D list. And what I'm gonna do is I'll start with a single list that you guys understand. I am going to put 0 for now. So empty 1, 0, 0, 0. So what is this? This is an array list with 3 cells, index 0, 1, 2. Simple. All right. So this is 1D, and the 3D idea is, let's say, for each of these members or each numbers, I'm going to remove that and open a bracket like that. And this will turn to 2D. So you can have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 0, 0. Oh, that's O. So that's 2D now. If you want to see it better, the best way to show it is this. I'm just doing that for you guys to visualize it. That is what it is. So you can see row and column now. Right? So we have 3 rows and 3 columns. And as you know, so this is 3 by 3. Some call it matrix, some call it 2D arrays, whatever you make that. So let's do that again, because this is sometimes confusing. I want you to pay attention. So let's say we have 1, 2, 3 members. For 1, I'm gonna replace it with 1, 2, 3. So each of these members become an array itself. So each cell that has a number, now we take the number, we put the whole array or list inside. So inside of 2, we're gonna do 4, 5, 6, and instead of that, we're gonna do what? 7, 8, 9. And I can break it down like that for you guys to visualize it better. So if so let's say if I want to print this list, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go my first 2D list and print it, and you can see, here is the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The way I actually type it for the first time, you can see it. So now, if you recall at the beginning when we started, we can do 0 to see the first member as the index. Who can tell me what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna see, what I'm gonna see if I do this? 4, 5, 6, right? So that is the first thing is the row. So the idea is this is go and take the second row. Why? The index is 1 less than a row number. So in this case, this is the row with the index 0. This is the row with the index 1. So in that case, you're going to see 4, 5, and 6. Thanks for that answer. Here we go. So now, guess what? So if I do my first 2D, 1 and 2, what would I see? What did you say? Give me the answer. No. So the first one, select the row. We did that. We just did this one, right? So this is the same, right? So it means I'm going to the second row and I have that. Then the second number talk about the column number. So the first one, first is the row. And the second one would be the column. So the first one, it goes to the second row, which is 4, 5, 7, 6. We know that. And now we go to the column. That's a column 0. That's a column 1. This is a column 2. So the answer should be 6. So that's your answer. So let's write the loop that actually go through this and print all of them. How about that? So what do you prefer, for loop or while loop? You want me to do it for both? That's easy for me. All right, so let's start with for loop. So we're gonna go for. So now we have two index. One is going through rows. The other one goes through the column. So I'm not gonna do index 1 and 2. I'm gonna go row as my index rows, or I'm gonna go index row as my dummy variable in range of what? So this is 3 by 3. So we can put 3 here. So you're gonna go index 0, 1, 2, right? Because that is your row 1, row 2, and row 3. So let's test that. So we're gonna print the index. Okay, no. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go my first 2D and put the index row in them. So in that case, I'm gonna print each row and see it works. I'm gonna print each member. So if I run this, get rid of this part of the code that drives me nuts. You can see you can print your row one by one. So that's the first row, that's the second row, and that's the third. So what we can do is that. So we're gonna now, every time I enter the row, I'm gonna have another loop go through the column one by one. I wanna print every single member. So I have the one that it goes through the first row, second row, and third. Now when I'm entering the first row, I wanna go to the first column, second column, third column. When I then increment the row, goes 0, 1, 2. The third one, 0, 1, 2. So that's what in that case, I'm covering everything. So when I'm entering the row, so I'm gonna comment that. I am going to write another loop because every time I go through any index, I need a loop. So there's a for index. We call this index column because that goes through the columns. In range of how many columns I got? 3. Right? Same size. There's 3 by 3. 3 rows, 3 columns. So I should put 3. And now I'm gonna do this. So that's the interesting part. So I'm gonna print my first 2D index row and index column. So what it is, every time I'm gonna go row 0, column 1, 2, 3. Row 1, column 0, 1, 2. Sorry. So we have a row index 0 when they go columns index 0, 1, 2, increment the row index by 1, 0, 1, 2 for the column again, and so on and so forth. So we repeat. That's it. Let's try it and see if we see all the members. Then we just kind of actually print it in a way that we understand later when we circle back to the code. So when I say 5, here we go. So you should be able to see from this is not part of it. So it's from 1 all the way to the last number, which is 9. So we take all the members one by one as we go. If you want to understand this fully in the printout, I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna do it this way. So we're gonna do type my first 2D and then I am going to go index row. What am I doing? That should have a comma here. and go to the next line, index column equals to. So what I'm doing, I'm just gonna make it clean what's happening with the whole list. That, I guess. No, I'm missing something. Alright, I'm missing my first. There we go. It seems lengthy, but it's not. At the when it prints, you it makes sense. I'm gonna stop all of it and just run it again. There we go. It's hiding here. There we go. Let's get rid of this part. And that's what you can see, the location of each number separately. So in that case, this is my list on the top. And as I expected, here we go. So my first 2D list, row 1 and column 1 as an index wise, we're going to go 0. That's the first row. And this is 1. And then we're going to go 1. So we're going to go 4, which is the index 0 for the column. And this is 1. So in that case, you see 5. Index and the numbers can be really confusing. So pay attention to that. All right. So let me... So one other thing. So let's say we got that. What if I go and change that to 4? First of all, this is not supposed to be exactly kind of identical, or it's not supposed to be 3 by 3, 4 by 4. It can be, each of them can has different column, different rows. But let's keep it simple for now. Let's go. I'm adding a 0 at the end of those. So that make it 4 by 4, right? I'm doing that. So if I run this code, probably not gonna, you see, you're not gonna see those zeros. You see a 0 in the list, but you don't see it when you print it out. So what's happening here? Because the size of the column and the row number, I mean the size of those actually change. We used to put 3, now I have to put 4. We learned that we can use the function length or len to get those size. I know if I get len, okay, so how that's gonna work? Who can tell me if I do this? Len of my first 2D, what would I see as a number here? 4. And that 4 is what? The number of rows. Alright, let's make it simpler. I'm going to add 2 adds to this. I'm going to add 2 zeros to this. So now, what I have is I have 3. Did you say 4? That's the wrong answer, actually. Let's go back to whatever I had. The answer is 3. Let me try it. There we go. So what is that 3? That's a row number. We have 1, 2, 3 row and 4 column. So when you get the length, it gives you how many rows it has, because first it goes through the rows. So who can tell me how can I find the number of columns? Using the length function. So let's go update this and then we take it from there. So here I realize if I do length, so now instead of 3 and 4, I can go length of my first list. All right, so that gives me 4. If I change that to 5 row, it's gonna be 5, whatever it is. And this is an interesting part. So every time I go through a row, I'm gonna get the size of that row, which is tells me how many columns it has. Means what? So when I'm going there, when I'm inside the row, so when I'm in my first 2D list index row, so I'm talking about. So when I'm going through this loop, so when I'm taking this first row, I'm checking the size of it. So how do I do? I'm going to the first row, then basically get the size. So back to this, to repeat that again, this is giving me the row number of row in the list, and if I need to get the number of so this is give me the length of the first row. Why I'm gonna do first, second, and third? Because each row can have different size. It doesn't need to be all 4. So if I do that, can be this one can be 3, this can be even 2, that can be 4. But the number of rows is clean. So we have 3 rows, and the first row has 3 columns, the second one has 2, and the last one has 4. Up to 2D you should understand, so go practice. Oops, I think I have error. Yeah, so what is error? Common mistake I talked to you about. Let me take a look. I was busy. Yeah, I was printing this, right? So the error here is I'm printing 1 and 2. There is no, so it goes 0, 1. There is no 2 there because I just deleted it. So if I go back, that I fix my problem. Everything would be fine. Here we go. I got everything clean and ready to go. Okay. Jesus, let me close that. Okay, so how do you do with 3D? Really quickly, you guys don't need to know it, but I'm just gonna put it here. This is for you, just really interested to understand more. If you understand 3D, you're fine. So quick understanding of 3D. I have a typo here. So how the 3D works. All right, for 3D, let's make a simple 3D array or list. And I'm gonna make it short, right? So I'm gonna go 1 and 2. So this array has 2 members. And this is 1D. And if I replace those with 2 other arrays, that would be, let's say, 1 and 2. 3 and 4. So that would be 2 rows, 2 column. And now, oh, I think I can't really do that. Start. Okay, so that's 3. We cannot start the variable name with the number, right? That's one of the rules. So here, then I'm gonna replace those members now with another array. So make it another dimension. 1 and 2. Easy. 5 and 6. So that is 3D. So this has 2 row, 2 column, and 2 sheets. Let's say. So you have to have a pattern to write these, otherwise you gotta confuse yourself. So I usually start with 1 dimension. I'll replace those with a array list. Let's say if I wanna define a 4D, let's say I'm gonna start with 2 zeros, and this is, then replace these 2 with, so that's 2D. So 1 array with another, and this guy also can have another one inside. So as much as you adding the brackets, that's another dimension. Anyways, so let's just simply, I'm not gonna simply, if I print 3D array, you're gonna see all of them. So let's take a look. So you see all of them right here. And if you do this, so who can tell me what would I see if I do that? Yeah, you got it. So you're gonna see 5, 6, 7, 8. Because why? Because you have 2 rows. Is that right? Let me take a look. Yeah, so 5, 6, 7, 8. You got the idea. So now if I do so what would I see now? Five, 6. And if I want to just see 6, let's say, what should I write? Just, yeah, you got it. 1. I'm gonna write, now I'm just gonna quickly write a system or loop to go 1 by 1 and print each location as well. Maybe you can help me with it. So we're gonna go column, no, we start with row, right? So row in range of length of 3D array. That gives me the number of row I have, which is in this case is 2. And every time I go through this, I'm gonna go for the column now in range of length of 3D row. So each row has its own columns, let's say. And for the third one, let's say sheets. And now we're changing sheets or whatever. Well, I rather when we have 3D, flip those with X, Y, and Z. It's better that way. If you know a little bit of math, I know what I'm doing here. So we have X, Y, and Z, the 3 dimension. But if all right, so we can do that. We can do row, column, they're using, in many programs, they're using I, J, and K. Those are the universal. So I, up to you what you want to use, right? So let's go with the classic I, J, and K. And we can do, this would be I for the row. This would be, now we're going to do in range of, what should I write here? Is anyone can guess? Length of. So one of them is I. Now J, right? So we go to the row, we go to the column. Now column has another list in it. So there. And then the fun part starts. So we're going to print. Yes. Have a question? No? It's funny you don't have question. You should ask me a question if you have. So we're gonna go 3D. All right. So we're gonna go I. We're gonna go J. And we're gonna go K. Equals to. So what should I write here is basically, I'm gonna go, just gonna go here and say, okay, so 3 DR I J and K. I think I need a comma here, right? Because I'm connecting. There we go. So that is a 3D. Two things at least learn. One is for each dimension, you need a loop. So you have row, you have column, you have sheets, you have even more dimension. Each dimension needs loop to go through. So I have 3, I have you 3. Challenge yourself, make this 4D and try to go through them and print all of them. So that gives you a better understanding. So that's one thing. Let me just run that. So here you go. So 0, 0, 0 is that, this, and that. So this is all the index and location. This is all printing though. I'm gonna write a program, then we're gonna wrap it up. So we're gonna write a program that we have an array. We ask the user the location they wanna put. Maybe I should use that. I don't know. Now, okay. So I'm gonna fill it up. So I'm gonna write that. Let's go with something simple. Actually, I'm gonna do. Maybe I should do. Wait. All right. So I'm gonna write 2 programs. So this is just printing stuff. So that was like just go through it, add them up, print them. Now we want to write the loops that actually go and enter numbers into those. I'm gonna do 2 things. So we're gonna fill up or add or fill up arrays, and we're gonna do it in 2 classic ways. One is like starting from the beginning, just throw numbers in them to fill it up. The other one, we're gonna go specifically to location and put numbers, all using users as an input. So we're gonna ask user what number you have and just throw it into that array that we have. So we're gonna do both of them. Let's start with some empty arrays. So I'm gonna go my list 3, and I'm just gonna let's go do 3D or 2D. Should I do 2D or 3D? 2D. Let's go. So we're gonna do 2D. Here we go. That should be enough for our experiment. Let's do. So I'm declaring an empty list right here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm simply gonna print it first. So see how it actually fills up, and every time I'm gonna go through my loop or through my list and just throw those numbers in. So we are gonna ask the user. Alright, so since you guys got the idea with for loop here, I'm gonna just throw a while loop and see how that works. So we're gonna define a row number. So declare row variable here to start with. Then we're gonna just go while row is less than the length of my list 3. So that gives me the number of available row there is. So in that case is 3, right? If you don't see that, let me do it this way. For 2D, I can trick it that way that you guys see better. So we have 3 rows. So this guy is going to say, while the row is less than the length of that, because we're going to increment, then we're going to define a column. So initiate, so this is declaring the column counter. This is declaring row counter. And then since there's 2D, we need 2 loops. And every time we go through the second loop, we're going to get each row and find the size of it. One of the challenges with using while loop is where to declaring those variables. If you declare this variable here inside, instead of here, you declaring it at the beginning, that would be problematic. Because this variable, this counter needs to be reset every single time. You go to the first row, you keep counting, go all the way to 3, and next time you increment the row, this has to reset to 0. If it doesn't, it remains 3. Right? So you need to, every time you go through this loop, every time you have to reset it. Think of it that way. You go row 0, you go 1, 0, 1, 2. Again, you increment that. This has to be resetted. Yeah. So again, you're going to set it to 0, 1, 2. This doesn't need to be reset now. You go increment that. Again, 0, 1, 2. So every time you need to reset it. So this has to be inside the loop. That means every time you go through this loop, you have to reset the column counter. If you put it here, it won't work. One of the most common problems when you're doing while loop and designing errors. Alright. Okay, so now what I'm going through this, what I'm going to do every single time, my list 3 equals to, we're going to ask the user and also, I'm just going to confirm what the user entered, right? Because this is a interaction between user and the program. Every time the user puts something in, I am going to basically confirm it. So they enter something, I set it to the cell, the first cell, second cell, and just going to print that value to make sure everything's fine. Also, I confirm. Okay, maybe I should just print. So I'm just gonna write the row numbers here. So we're gonna convert that. Since we're in the loop, you're gonna be really careful. You can't really just increment the row or column. If you do that, it messes up your program. So make sure you change that to the string. All the time when you're printing any counter, please convert it to the string. You don't want to manipulate or do something with row or column number. And since I'm doing that, I'm just going to print the list to see what's going on. So what should I do? This is a tricky part. So for this loop, since I'm doing the while loop, I need to increment that, right? Otherwise, increment for the column number, and then I'm gonna go here and increment the row. Since I'm using while loop is more detailed to it, but sometimes you're gonna use it. For is much easier, right? So for is more plain. You don't need to increment, it does it for you. Just get the length and get it over with. You see, for is really beneficial when you're dealing with arrays. All right, so let's see how that works. Almost done. So here, so this is the empty list. I'm gonna put 10. Oops, I have an error. So let's go find out why. All right, type error object. I think I forgot the int somewhere. Let's go take a look. Here's the problem, right? So I forgot to tell. This is gonna go to row and number. I just tried to set it to a variable. That doesn't work. So I'm gonna go row and column that. So hopefully that fixes it. I missed that. So I'm gonna go 5. So let's go 10. Here we go. So I entered 10 for first row and first column. So you see the 10 over there. 20. So you just fill it up as we go. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So if you want to reset it, we have set to 0 module to send it to. So this is filling it up. I'm gonna find a mistake. If you remember, I set this to 0, but my set to 0, it is for single dimension. My list 3D is literally 2 dimensions, so we can't really do that using this function. I find the problem. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna set my list manually to 0 for now. Or I can design that to handle 3D. Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna do that again. Oh, just copy and paste. I totally forgot that that is not. So let's try it now. So we fill it up 20 in order 5, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Here we go. So we had that. Now we reset it. So let's say go to the first row and first column and put 10 there. So okay, I forgot to print whatever I actually see. I want to see what I'm doing here, right? So what I'm gonna do, go here every time I confirm. I am printing my lists fully. Is a power fluctuation? I feel like a power fluctuation here. Okay, so that should do it. So what I'm gonna do is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And we're gonna do row 1, column 1, value 10. And you see the first row and column actually has 10. Do you have another one? Yes. So let's go 3 and 3. So 3 and 3 index wise is invalid, but column wise it is. Well, we subtract by 1, so let's go put 50. So here we go. So we have a 50. Go, yes. So gonna go 2 and 1, 45. Here we go. You got the idea. So let's say no. That's it. So this is the list. You learn how to print it, fill it up, all that. 2D, single D, and such. I'm gonna stop here.